Did you know that the Somali people are among the most influential Cushitic ethnic group in history, from the legendary land of Punt to dominating Indian Ocean trade and fiercely resisting colonial empires? Their legacy spans thousands of years. Yet today, they are often among the most slandered and misrepresented peoples in Western media and online culture. Decades of conflict and global migration have overshadowed a rich civilization reduced to a negative headlines. In this video, we are setting the record straight by exploring the true heritage, history, and culture of the Somali people. But first, what does it mean to be a Somali? In Somalia, anyone who holds a Somali citizenship is Somali. A Arab passing Banadiri or a Nigerian passing Somali Bantu may not fit common stereotypes, but they are just as Somali because they are citizens of Somalia. However, Somali is also an ethnic group belonging to the Cushitic branch of the Afro-Asiatic ethno-linguistic group. But to understand the ethnic Somali, the nomadic Cushitic tribe that spans the Horn of Africa, you have to look beyond modern borders and go back to the very roots of their identity. So, where does the word Somali actually come from? Scholars and oral historians point to two major origins. First, there is the literal cultural meaning, Somal. In Somali language, So means go and Mal means milk, literally translating go and milk, a direct reflection of an ancient pastoralist culture where offering a traveler fresh camel milk was the ultimate sign of hospitality. Second, and perhaps most importantly, the name comes from a man, Somali. In Somali tradition, Somali is the ancient patriarch and common ancestor from whom the entire ethnic group claimed descent. According to deep-rooted genealogical traditions, Somali had sons who went to form the primarily founding lineages of the Somali people, most notably Dir and Hawiye. From these lineages, along with major patriarchs like Sheikh Darood and Sheikh Isaac, who married into these ancient lines, the major clan families of the Horn of Africa were born. To an ethnic Somali, identity isn't just a language or a place on a map. It is defined by Abdirsi, a strict patrilineal tree where almost every ethnic Somali can recite 20, 30, or even 40 generations of their ancestors back to the very founders. However, anthropologically, Somalis originated in the Ethiopian highlands, the ancestral homeland of all Cushitic peoples. This is the land where Levantine Neolithic farmers from Arabia arrived around 3 to 5,000 years ago and mixed with the aboriginal Ethio-forager populations, scientifically known as East African hunter-gatherers. These Ethio-foragers were neither Niger-Congo Bantu or Nilo-Saharan Nilotes, but a distinct African lineage that diverged from a common ancestor shared by both. This blending created the genetic profile known as Ethio-Somali genetic component, a unique ancestral group that has remained genetically stable for thousands of years. Ultimately, three human lineages become one: West Eurasian and basal Eurasian from Levantine farmers combined with the East African hunter-gatherer lineage from the local Ethio-foragers, creating a brand new ethno-linguistic group in Africa, the Cushites. At first, this population was small, but because their Levantine ancestors introduced livestock pastoralism and agriculture to the region, their food supply stabilized and their population boomed. As their numbers grew, they began migrating outwards from the Ethiopian highlands, spreading across the Horn of Africa and gradually diverging into distinct branches. Around 3,500 years ago, the ancestral lowland Cushites began splitting apart. One branch moved north, giving rise to groups like the Afar and Saho. Another branch moved south and east, forming the ancestors of the Oromo, the Rendile, and the Somalis. By 2,500 years ago, a specific subgroup, known to linguists as the Proto-Sam people, broke away from the broader Oromoid lineage. The word Sam itself is an ancient ancestral root, the very root that would eventually give us the name of the patriarch, Somali. Finally, between 1,200 and 1,700 years ago, during late antiquity, this Proto-Sam group made its final split. As they adapted to the arid, Sun-scorched plains of the Horn, their relatives, like the Rendile, remained in northern Kenya. Meanwhile, the core group expanded rapidly across northern Somalia and Ogaden. They forged a specialized nomadic camel culture, developed their own distinct dialect of lowland Cushitic, and solidified the genealogical clan system we recognize today. This was the official birth of the Somali people as a distinct, unified ethnic identity. This is the ethnic identity that has preserved the ancestral Ethio-Somali genetic component for thousands of years, in which autosomal analysis shows that ethnic Somalis derive roughly 50 to 60% of their DNA from local East African hunter-gatherers, and 40 to 50% of their DNA from ancient Levantine Neolithic farmers. However, when broken down through modern genetic modeling, that West Eurasian signal is predominantly Natufian Epipaleolithic hunter-gatherer, making up roughly 70 to 80% of their West Eurasian ancestry, alongside smaller contributions from Anatolian Neolithic farmers at roughly 10 to 15%, and Ibero-Mauritian and Zagrosian lineages are roughly 5 to 10% each. Taken as a whole, the average Somali carries roughly 50 to 60% East African hunter-gatherer, 30 to 35% Natufian, 4 to 6% Anatolian Neolithic farmer, 5 to 10% Zagrosian, and 5 to 10% Ibero-Mauritian ancestry. Over thousands of years, these ancient lineages converged, adapted, and thrived in the semi-arid environments of the Horn, shaping one of the most recognizable and striking phenotype in Africa. But before we dive deeper into physical features, linguistic history, cultural traditions, and civilizational heritage of the Somali people, I have a quick announcement. This video is just an introduction to this group, but in my book, World Encyclopedia of African Peoples, I go far deeper. I've dedicated entire chapters not only to the Somali people, but to every Cushitic and Afro-derived lineages across the continent, from the oldest to the youngest African lineages to the groups that emerged during the Middle Ages, colonial era, and the modern global diaspora. In each chapter, I explore their genetic and ancestral backgrounds, history and migrations, geographic distribution, phenotypic traits, languages and communication, traditional lifestyle and economies, cultural traits and customs, modern identity and diaspora, and much more to each and every African ethnic group. It's an eye-opening read full of knowledge and one of the best ways to discover your African brethren. The book is available on Amazon, and buying it is the best way to support my channel. The link with more details are in description. Thank you very much. Now let's get back to today's video. So when Herodotus, the ancient Greek historian, described the Macrobians of the Horn of Africa as the tallest and most good-looking people in the world, he wasn't exaggerating. Somalis are blessed with distinct striking physical features. Their physical phenotype, often classified anthropologically as the East Ethiopid phenotype, which is considered one of the purest expressions of the Ethiopid spectrum, showing the highest concentration of Ethiopid traits. Roughly 90% of ethnic Somalis exhibit this phenotype, the rest being Central Ethiopid, and it's characterized primarily by deep reddish-dark brown skin tones, though a sizable minority displays medium brown or jet black skin, and in rare cases, lighter brown complexions. Their hair texture ranges from curly to tightly coiled, with a small minority having wavy hair and on rare occasions, straight hair. Cranially, they are predominantly dolichocephalic, which is long-headed, and orthocranic, which is medium head height. Their facial structure features long oval shapes with soft glacial contours, deep-set almond-shaped eyes, narrow jawlines, full lips, and zero prognathism. Their noses are short in height, hyperleptorine, also known as extremely narrow noses, and is either straight or slightly convex. Physically, Somalis are rather tall on average, with a predominantly ectomorphic build, which is lean and tall, alongside a smaller minority of mesomorphic and endomorphic body types. However, Somali females present a unique adaptation within this range, having evolved in an environment prone to seasonal drought and famine. Well-nourished females of this phenotype naturally store lipid reserves in specific areas, giving them a distinct curvy yet slender ectomorphic silhouette. making them, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful women in the world. On top of that, this phenotype produces scant to zero body hair and extremely smooth, velvety skin textures. Now, let's transition to the next pillar of Somali identity, their linguistic heritage. If genetics and physical evolution tell the story of where the Somali people came from, it is their language that reveals how they think, communicate, and preserve their history. Linguistically, Somali belongs to the Cushitic branch of the Afroasiatic language family, specifically the Lowland East Cushitic subgroup. It is closely related to languages like Oromo, Afar, and Saho, with deeper ancestral ties connecting it to ancient Egyptian, Amazigh, and Semitic languages including Arabic. But what makes the Somali language truly unique isn't just classification, it's how the language itself is constructed and preserved. First, Somali is a tonal accent language. Pitch and tone don't just change the emotions of a sentence, they actually change the grammatical meaning or gender of a word. Secondly, it boasts a staggering vocabulary tailored to the environment and way of life. As we touched on earlier, a single word like camel doesn't suffice. There are over 40 distinct words for camels depending on age, gender, pregnancy status, and milk yield. But perhaps the most incredible aspect of Somali linguistic history is its transition from oral mastery to written script. For thousands of years, Somali was an unwritten language. Yet, despite having no standardized national script until 1972, Somalis maintain one of the most sophisticated oral literature traditions on earth. Historical events, clan lineages, legal codes, and epic poetry were passed down across centuries through word of mouth with meticulous precision. When the need to write the language did arise, Somali scholars proved remarkably inventive. They developed the Wadad writing, an adapted Arabic script used for centuries by local religious scholars. In the 1920s, Kisman Yusuf Kenadid invented the Osmania script, a completely indigenous, phonetically precise alphabet designed specifically for Somali sounds. And finally, in 1972, the officially Somali Latin alphabet, Fa Samali, was adopted, causing national literacy rates to skyrocket overnight. Today, whether spoken in the markets of Mogadishu, the rangelands of the Ogaden, or across the global diaspora, the Somali language remains the absolute heartbeat of their culture. Now, let's step into the rich world of Somali cultural traditions, a society forged by the rhythm of pastoral life, deep Islamic faith, and an unshakable code of honor. At the core of traditional Somali culture is pastoralism. For thousands of years, survival in the arid Horn of Africa required constant movements, resilience, and deep understanding of the land. This nomadic lifestyle shaped everything, from their diet, centered heavily on camel milk and meat, to their portable architecture, like the iconic akal, a lightweight dome-shaped woven nomadic tent designed to be packed into a camel in minutes. But beyond physical survival, Somali structure is governed by two major systems, Ksir and Abtirsi. Ksir is one of the oldest surviving indigenous legal systems in Africa. It is unwritten, polycentric customary law passed down throughout generations. Rather than relying on a centralized police force or king, elders use Ksir to settle land rights, resolve clan disputes, and determine compensation for crimes, known as diya, ensuring order and justice even in the most remote desert rangelands. Alongside Ksir is Abtirsi, the art of genealogy. From a young age, every Somali child learns to recite their patrilineal family tree, often going back 20, 30, or even 40 generations to their clan's founding patriarch. This isn't just about family pride, it acts as a social security network, a living history book, and a social system of mutual protection. Culture in Somalia is also vibrant, expressive, and deeply celebrated through music and dance. Traditional dances like Dantol, a high-energy, rhythmic shoulder-to-foot dance originally used by camel herders and warriors, continue to bring communities together during weddings, cultural festivals, and national celebrations. Bound together by hospitality, deep communal loyalty, and an enduring respect for elders, Somali culture is a testament of how a society can thrive and maintain its core identity across thousands of years. Beyond performing arts, Somali culture is equally defined by a rich sartorial tradition that reflects a person's social class, geography, and lifestyle. Pastoral nomads relied on functional, breathable white cotton wraps like the two-piece go iyo makawis and the draped guntino for women, perfectly suited for the arid rangelands. Meanwhile, coastal merchants, scholars, and urban elites displayed their wealth through vibrant imported silk textiles, tailored khamis robes, and elaborate women's dirak dresses paired with gabasar shawls. Notably, sultans and prominent leaders distinguished themselves with regular outer garments, most famously the embroidered jubad, or joke, an ornate structured coat worn over white robes as a symbol of authority, prestige, and high status. From simple nomadic robes to royal sultanate coats, Somali fashion heritage seamlessly blends practical desert designs with coastal elegance and high status. Now, let's move to the civilizational heritage of the Somali people. Far from being isolated nomads, Somalis built powerful maritime empires, constructed grand stone cities, and dominated global trade networks for thousands of years. Long before the Middle Ages, the northern coast of Somalia was the central hub of global commerce. Many historians identify this coastline as the ancient land of Punt, a legendary region recorded by ancient Egyptians who sailed to the Somali ports to trade for gold, ebony, frankincense, and myrrh. Ports like Zeila and Berbera acted as vital gateways connecting Africa to the Mediterranean and the Arabian Peninsula. As Islam arrived in the 7th century, Somali coastal cities quickly embraced the faith, transforming the region into a powerhouse of Islamic architecture, scholarship, and empire. During the Middle Ages, the Ajuran Empire rose to dominance in southern Somalia. The Ajuran were a master hydraulic engineers who built extensive limestone wells, fortresses, and irrigation systems across the Shabelle and Juba river valleys. They established a centralized state, minted their own currency, and commanded a vast naval trade network that exchanged goods with India, Persia, and Ming Dynasty China. In the north, the Adal Sultanate emerged as a formidable military and commercial empire, under leaders like Imam Ahmed bin Ibrahim al-Ghazi, also known as Ahmed Gurey. Adal mobilized Cushitic warriors to forge one of the most powerful military coalitions in Northeast Africa, famously holding both regional powers like the Abyssinians and the Portuguese empires during the 16th century. And on the Indian Ocean coast, cities like Mogadishu, Barawe, and Kismayo flourished under the Mogadishu Sultanate and later local city-states, producing fine textiles like Benadiri cloth, high-grade leather, and incense that were exported as far as East Asia. Even into the modern era, that civilizational spirit of independence remained unbroken. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when European powers partitioned the continent during the scramble of Africa, Sayyid Muhammad Abdullah Hassan and the Dervish movement waged a fierce 20-year anti-colonial resistance against British, Italian, and Ethiopian forces, earning a reputation as some of the most tenacious warriors in African history. From ancient Punt to medieval maritime empires and anti-colonial resistance, the Somali civilizational footprint is a testament to trade, engineering, faith, and defiance. And that's it for today's video. If you want to learn more about the Cushitic ethnic group as a whole, make sure to check out my previous video. And if you want to explore more about the diverse peoples of the Horn, check out my videos about the Habesha peoples. And as always, stay curious, stay smart, and thank you very much for watching.